welcome to the Situation Lounge, where improv and coaching connect. We're here with the team, the cast members, the voices, the talents behind the Situation Lounge, and we have our co-host Lydia, all the way from Sweden, aka the Black Sweetie. So yes, today's topic, we're talking about mental health, and many of you have seen the buzz about professional athletes, actors, and actresses in different positions as well, as far as professions, I should say, who have challenges in the area of mental health. Sometimes we don't see it displayed publicly. Sometimes we find out after something extreme or severe happens. But now we're seeing a trend where it's not just the traumatic, but it's more people becoming more self-aware, you know, in advance. They're becoming more self-aware, like, okay, there's something wrong here, I need to step back. So Lydia, what are your thoughts as it relates to this topic of mental health?
Wow, well, since I am on a completely other side of the world, I haven't looked too much into it, but I've noticed that, what's her name again? Naomi Osaka? I think she took a mental health break, something like that as well, not too long ago. So it's a lot happening. And I definitely believe that the pandemic has also its own, play into this. And of course, also people are, I guess, standing up more for themselves when it comes to taking breaks. Like we was talking before on the live, having a balance of work and social life. Because otherwise that's when the mental health issues, start to seep into your life, because you're not taking a break. Everything is so on the go and you're not listening to your body. So I definitely, and for them to be so young, and take the decision, and regardless of the backlash that they're receiving, that's a very powerful statement in its own. And especially as Black women in today's society.
Yeah, because we're always taught to say, to be strong, be a strong Black woman. It's like, we can take it. This is how life is, because if we're not ahead of the game, if we don't work 10 times as harder as others, then we're not going to make it. And to see them take that step back is kind of interesting. So, fellas, what's your take on this topic as it relates to your industry, like compared to the industry that you're in? Being an actor, you have to step into so many people's shoes, Anthony. Do you find, like, going from you as Anthony Ryan Grant to transitioning to a character, does that affect your mental health in any way, or is it balanced because of the type of characters that you accept, as far as the roles you accept?
It can, right? I think, especially depending on the role, right? You always want to have it come from a real place. I think one of the nuances of acting is, when you're stepping into someone's shoes, it's not like a 1-for-1 always, right? It's not always like you look at a character and it's like, oh, I've been through something like this, or, this is something that speaks to me. It's a lot of times it's like, okay, what is this feeling that I can relate to, right? Maybe I didn't go through this, but there's always the feeling of, like, the feeling of being embarrassed, the feeling of being happy, or, things of that nature. And I think it can, give like a wear and tear, like hopping in from one character to another. I've had times, even with just auditions, where you have like auditions that kind of like jump genres, and it gets a little tiring, because it's like, all right, in this one, it's more commercially, so I'm overly happy, even though I'm having a bad day. And in this one, it's like I'm having a good day, but it's like a super dramatic piece where somebody just died. And, you have to kind of like channel that. So I think, on the grand scheme of the topic we're talking about with mental health, I think a lot of times people don't see the mini steps that go into a lot of these things, like this idea of being in the Olympics, and being on this literally global platform where for as much praise as you're getting 10 times more scrutiny, and like Leah said, at such a young age, these girls are in their early 20s, and a lot of times, like, no matter what you tell them, it's like, yeah, they have their own thoughts and opinions. I'm sure they have their own insecurities that are still changing. And when you're having that being put, again, on every literally every social media platform, it takes a toll. You can't say it doesn't take a toll, you know. So it is interesting to see it starting to play out more.
Come on.
Right, and considering my industry, military, mental health is one of those things that I guess you could say we've been struggling with for decades, and it's only coming to light as people outside the military particularly start pushing. You know, they said at 21, that's how many veterans commit suicide on a daily basis. And as you were talking, Anthony, it goes back to an interesting point where, same thing in military, we teach people how to be militant. We teach them how to do their jobs, if and when necessary, how to kill. You know, we teach them how to do that, but there is no program of how to turn that off. And with celebrities or with athletes, we teach them how to be these Olympians, these Oscar winners, Emmy winners, but we don't teach them how do you deal with your success. And I think that's a missing element. You can be successful, go places, people screaming your name, whoa! You go to the store and you blow up because a waitress said something wrong. You're on the tabloid, oh my gosh, so-and-so is a horrible celebrity there, da-da-da. No, I had a moment you had that people have every day, but there's nothing that filters there. Like I said, your whole life is on stage. And we want to be successful, we want to be out there in the limelight, but it comes with a price of, what do you do when you want to do that work-life balance? You see celebrities go in and out of marriage all the time, literally because one's doing a movie for the next 6 months on the other side of the world, the other one's on the other side of the world doing their movie, and they're like, at what point do you have a normal human life? I think when I was younger and did get into acting and theater and stuff like that, one of the things we learned is that whatever character you create, you take on their persona. LL Cool J, I think when he did the movie where he played a character called God, he was like a gangster or something like that, he would say he would take the long way home so he can decompress, because he was so into the character he couldn't go home like that. But you see where those things affect you after a while. So I just think one of the problems we have as a society is we've sort of glamorized it in one way. We've also shunned it in another way. It's like, oh, if you're like this and something's wrong with you and da-da-da-da, or hey, maybe I can make money off of it. Maybe I can, we get to that point where it's either being glamorized or it's being shamed upon. But the people who are really hurting when they do it, it's like, how dare you? Like when the Olympus, when she decided to step down, people started speculating, oh, she must be pregnant. Oh, she must be doing drugs. Oh, maybe she's just stressed. People don't think of that way. The tennis star, she went through that recently too, where she got bullied by a news person because she decided she wanted to take time off. She's bashing her only to find out that the photo shoot and all the things that she did, those were done 6-7 months prior to her having her meltdown. So again, we glamorize it or we shame it. We don't try to help. That's the problem I see.
So I have a question about, because I believe you're referring to Naomi Osaka, right? With on Twitter. Yeah. So do you think that it would have been different if she was a white woman, if Naomi was a white person, or maybe also older than she is today? Do you think that the age and her ethnicity played a role into, I guess we should call it bullying? Because that's kind of what it was online.
There are a few other celebrities, athletes who are white, who did the same thing. You don't hear about them on the news. So there is this interesting thing that they push it that way. And I blame the news media and social media and how they push things. But to answer the question, Bladley, yeah, we still know that no matter whether it's sports, movie, whatever, people of color, especially Black women, no matter which country you're from, you guys are still an object of scrutiny. Like Yannick was saying, you're told, because historically you guys have been told to shut up, accept it, and move on. Literally, from slavery time to those who weren't even went through some issues similar to where I work, and it's like, at what point in time do you just not see a Black woman as just a woman? Like, why do we do that? But if she was a white woman, I'm pretty sure we wouldn't have heard about it, or they would have glamorized it. Okay, there's another one who did the same thing and nobody talks about it. It's simply, she was stressed, she's taking time off, the pressure of being young. A Black woman does it and it's like, well, why is she doing it? And all this other stuff. And it's like, how about you just go, she's young, she's stressed, and move on. So I do notice that across the board, I do notice that.
Yeah. Then what about when it comes down to money, though? So everyone's celebrating. Let's look on the positive side of what's taking place now, right? Where people are celebrating those who are deciding to take ownership of their mental health. Some of these people, they have money to do that, right? Where she can step back. It doesn't hurt her. I mean, endorsements and all that, but she has money in the bank, right? I don't know her personally. I can only assume based on her prior successes, endorsements, commercials, and all that, she can do well sitting out. But what about those who cannot afford? So like I remember like a clip from the Situation Lounge, promoted to manager. Ricky, one of the employees, he was like, okay, well, my mental health days are important. And it was almost like frowned upon, like, okay, are you really taking mental health days, or are you just fronting? Are you just trying to take your extended weekends or so?
Hey, Ricky, my man, come in, take a seat, bro. Take a seat. You know,
yes, sir. Yes, sir. How you doing, Danny?
Good, man. Good. You know, just trying to get everything settled in this new position. You know, trying to make sure that not only myself, but I'm setting the rest of y'all up for success. You know, so of course, the first task they gave me was your performance review.
Right. Which is a little weird for me, because we were, before you got promoted, we were pretty much in the same position. But I get it. It's all good. You got it.
Yeah, it's weird for me too, man. It's it's honestly a surprise, and I'm honestly just trying to adjust. And that's why I want to kick off your performance review with literally just some praise, man. You've been here for a while. You've been here longer than I have, and
right.
Who am I to tell you how to do your job? You definitely do your job to the T. Your quarterlies come in great every single time. It's just because we've been friends for so long. I know how you tend to have a habit of calling out every Friday and every Monday, and you really be taking your weekends to yourself to enjoy life. And the boss doesn't know about it, but I do follow you on social media. We follow each other, and I know a lot of times you calling out to go live your weekend, man. But Fridays, especially, we always have those last minute crunches before the weekend, and I could really use someone with your level of expertise to help meet those deadlines.
Yeah, I mean, I hear where you're coming from, Danny, but like you said, I've been in this company for over 7 years, so I know what I'm doing. When it comes to the weekend, I was encouraged a long time ago to take mental health days. So I'm taking my mental health days. I mean, I'm not sure what the issue was. The previous manager never had an issue, so why is this an issue now? I'm just really confused.
Oh, it's not that it's an issue in the sense of your mental health, man. I'm all about mental health. The company is very mental health progressive. It's just, I wonder if your mental health days have to happen every weekend. Is there a way we can maybe pre-plan some of these days that you need for mental health? Because, you and I both know it's not just mental health that you are taking these weekends off.
Danny, let me tell you something. In this company, you already know, they discourage taking time off, vacations. So what other time do I have for myself to get away? It's just the weekend. We only get like a week vacation and several sick days. It's nothing. We need to disconnect. I need to, however I decide to do that, that's my personal business. I come here and I do my work. Because if there was an issue before, I would have got let go a long time ago. So again, I still don't know why we talking about this, and it just doesn't make sense.
I'm just letting you know, because now that they put me in the supervisor position, I had a conversation with the boss, and they're telling me that they're planning to crack down more on absences, especially absences without doctor's notes. And you were the first person that came to mind. I know things change. I know I'm in a different position now, but I don't want us to be at odds just because of something that could be prevented. So I'm just trying to level with you. Again, your performance review is great. You've been a great employee in this company. You'll always have that. I'm trying to make sure that you're good for the future.
I still don't get how you got promoted over me, but whatever.
And it's like, where do you find that balance when you tell someone either, yeah, take that mental health day, or no, you need to get yourself together, get to work, do your job, you know, like, I think it's kind of challenging to find that middle area. And then also when someone doesn't have money in the bank like that, it is frowned upon. It's like, what? You have time to take mental health days? You don't have time for that. You need to make some money, you know? So it's like, do you guys think it also comes with how much money you have, or, you know, if you're high profile or not, if people are more accepting of you taking a mental health break or not?
It's funny because I actually had a pretty similar conversation yesterday, and I think one of the general misconceptions about people with money, right, is that the assumption is that because they have money, they must have time, right? So again, to bring up Simone Biles, it's like, you know, yeah, she's probably doing fairly well financially. You know, we don't know exactly how much, but probably not hurting for money. You know, I saw her in like a Ritz commercial literally yesterday, you know, so I'm sure that paid a pretty penny. But with that, I'm like, if you think about, okay, she's probably doing 6-hour training sessions, goes to shoot that kind of commercial. I'm sure tries to have some type of social life with people with her family. When is she taking time for mental health? She can afford it, but at what point in her day is it like, all right, Simone, it's therapist time, or hey, Simone, it's self-care day. When does that happen? You know, so I don't know if it is less frowned upon, you know, if you're in a place of status. I think in some ways it's more frowned upon because there's such a misperception of like, oh, well, you have the money, right? You have the money. It's like, yeah, but we've seen people with money be miserable, right? And you've seen people with money who talk about, I don't sleep, I don't this, I'm always da 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 da. And it's like, okay, but the time, you know, I think it kind of depends on the workplace at that point and how accepting they can be with, yeah, you know, this is a little bit stressful. Go have your mental health day, you know, and I think that's only recently started to change because it just boils down to time. Like you can't assume that somebody has the time to go take care of themselves in a mental space.
At all. I think it's, you know, we assume that it, you know, because they have more money, they have more time. But a lot of times to have more money, you also have to work harder. So it's really, I think, of you know, a balance. And a lot of people either don't have the time to be able to balance it out or don't know how to.
In terms of what you said, that balance, I think it also comes down to society. Other countries don't deal with mental health the way we deal with it in America. America, for the most part, arguably is a capitalistic society. We have a machine that needs to be grinding. And unfortunately, people are being grinded. It's like, if you're not at work, you're at school. If you're not at school, you're at home. You're at home dealing with what you got to do about work and school. So you're constantly doing this thing. So I definitely agree. If you're rich, there isn't either that, well, you have the money. So if you have the money, you must have the time. You get the best specialists in the world. No, just give you drugs. That's another thing. We just drug everything up, which deals with symptoms. We're not really dealing with the problems. And a lot of these problems can be dealt with as simple as, you know what, take a month off. But then when they do that, it's frowned upon. You're shamed upon. So it goes back to my whole, it's either going to be glamorized and you have celebrities who go, oh, I'm going into a mental health facility. It's the best in the country. We don't need to know that. Just go. Or people who do go, oh, what's wrong with you? You know, there's nothing wrong with you. You're just being lazy. You want to take time off. You gave me health days I can take. So why is it when I take them, it's a problem? Because it's affecting that machine.
Welcome back to the Situation Lounge, where improv and coaching connects. What are your thoughts on what the expert said regarding the situation? Please share with us in the comment section below.